basically what I theorize happens when you die. Okay, no matter who you are. I don't care who you are. All right. So we are composed of matter and energy, which is plasma, because plasma is matter and energy combined. Okay, we're combined more like this and not like this. Okay, it's not like here's the matter, here's the energy. No, it's here's the matter, here's the energy, and they're combined. Okay. Now, basically, when you die, your consciousness ceases to exist, because technically there's no knowledge of what's going on. Your brain is dead. You know, there's your hippocampus. There is no hippocampus anymore. Okay, so there's no memory. All right, you see nothing, you hear nothing. You're not happy, you're not sad, you're literally, there's nothing. You're just the energy that was here, which is the nuclear and electric energy in your body. You have a bionuclear core, which is the limbic system, and you have a bioelectric system, which is your cerebrum, all right? These are two brains connected. Your hindbrain bonds these together. Basically what it does is bridges these two. I got another video where I get in depth on that, and that's your cerebellum, all right? So literally, once the energy exits your body, you're in space, okay? Now you're not in the body anymore, you're in space, okay? No matter where you're at. You know, if I'm sitting in the house and I died and my energy left my body, even if it's in the living room, that living room is space. This room is space. Anywhere not inside something and outside something is space. It's like what happens when you turn the light off? Okay, if I turn that light off right there, the energy that it's produced is going to literally be out into space. It's going to be pushed out into space, and the source, the energy, is still there, but the light's out because there's no body for the energy to exist in. Your body is essentially the light bulb, analogous to the light bulb, all right? The source is still there, but the bulb doesn't exist. So the energy's there, it's just not contained in anything anymore. So it's outside of it into space, all right? So you're not happy, you're not sad, you're not hungry, you're not thirsty, you're none of that. You don't even consciously realize that you exist. But you do. And this is where you exist for the majority of eternity, okay? Because your life is such a blink of the eye. I mean, literally, your life, say 100 years. 100 years is nothing in a fathomless existence of trillions of years. Remember how I was explaining in the other video, the zoom out and the zoom in? Technically, if you zoom out forever, okay, I'm going to give you this, all right? All right, the double helix, our DNA. Okay, that's our biosignature, okay? That energy signature inside our bodies and our biosignature are quantumly entangled, all right? So this code is finite. That means it has a beginning and an end. That means it's measurable. That means it has a beginning and an end, all right? Inside the infinite fathomless of existence, that code, through the laws of probability, will have to repeat again. It will have to. The laws of probability indicate that this 6 billion digit code, or 6 million, will literally, it'll be reborn. It will literally be reborn. It will happen again. It has to. It has to. I mean, we're talking about infinity here. And this code is small and finite. So it has to happen again. And when it does, that energy that is you, that's quantumly entangled with that biosignature and that biofrequency, is literally going to be pulled right back into that body. Now, I know it sounds like religion and all that, but it's technically rationality and science. I mean, it's just rationality, really, you know. Your energy does not die. It only transforms. So it goes from the body. Now it has no more host. All it is just free floating energy, okay, that is quantumly entangled to that biosignature. Once that code repeats, no matter, I mean, there could probably be 10 trillion Earths inside the fathomless existence of the supreme existence, okay? The superverse. There's probably trillions of, quadrillions, septillions of human beings that exist. All kinds of different types of species of human probably look different, you know, different skin color, stuff like that because of the star that their planet's around. But regardless, we're all designed off of DNA, and we're all quantumly entangled with our biosignature, that biosignature of DNA and that energy signature, you know, like a star has its own unique signature. Our aura, we all have a biosignature that is unique also. Our cells literally have electromagnetic fields around them, okay? But all this is pseudoscience, but it's all been proven. We found this stuff. The Carillion aura, you know, electromagnetic fields around cells. Look it up. It's real. but it's pseudoscience. Like I said, they only want to call it pseudoscience because they don't understand it, they don't know where it fits, and their egos are keeping them down. They're keeping them from understanding anything new because they think, we already know. Well, if you already think you know all of it, then you're never going to learn anything else. Now, I don't think I know everything. I know I don't. But I know a lot more than they do, considering the fact that I actually bothered to. Okay? I actually bothered to understand. Instead of, this is how it goes, and it'll just be a mystery. We will never know. Okay. You can tell yourself that. But I'm not going to say, we will never know. Because I know we can. We have that potential. Okay? So, rationally, yes and no, there's a heaven, and no, there's not. And it's a hell. Alright? Just depends on how you want to perceive that. Because, your perspective technically is everything. Alright? Your perspective. See, perception is nothing unless you exist. It's not technically how you perceive things. It's your perspective of what you're perceiving. You see what I'm saying? Now people say, the universe doesn't exist unless you're there to observe it. That's bullshit. Alright? First of all, to be able to observe it, it has to exist prior. Okay? So people start overthinking the simplest stuff, making big complex problems when it's so damn simple a 5th grader or a toddler, a 5-year-old can understand it, And people want to say, you're talking about complex problems, quantum physics, quantum science, biosignatures, all that. That's complicated stuff. It might be, on a scientific scale, complicated when you start digging into it. But overall, if you wanted to explain it in a simple term, it can be explained very simply. And just like how Einstein says, if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. I understand this stuff very well because I bothered to for 20 years. Ever since I was a child, technically, I've known this stuff. I just didn't know why I knew it and how I knew it. But over the years, I found out, the whole time I was a child, I even knew the answer, and I didn't even know how or why I knew. And then I confirmed why or how I knew through science later on. So, I've always had a pretty good grip on what was going on because I always bothered to understand. And there are people like that out there that actually bother to understand and want to know, because they know that if you seek, you will find. And then there's people out there who are like, they want to be pessimistic. There's just no way we can ever know. Well, there's no way you can ever know if you consider that, if that's your mentality on the subject. Like Job, just give up, If you give up, how are you going to succeed in the end? If you don't bother to keep your head up, At least Job kept his head up, kept his faith, kept being good, kept doing his thing, and it paid off in the end. It's called karma. It's not giving up. I mean, come on. It's simple stuff. It's very simple stuff. It doesn't have to be as complicated as people make it to be. I mean, literally, when everyone dies, the same thing's going to happen to them. Where your relatives are, you're going to go where your relatives are, but it's not like you're going to be hanging out with them. I mean, I never wanted to believe this stuff, all right? And if you're a spiritual person, you probably don't want to believe this stuff, all right? I don't want to believe it, but I really have no choice to believe it because it's the only thing that really makes sense. If you have no brain, your consciousness is gone, okay? But the energy that ran that brain is still there. It's just not conscious because there's no hippocampus anymore. You don't have a memory. You don't have a memory bank. You can't make decisions. You're not happy. You're not sad. You have no parietal lobe. You have no occipital lobe. You have no temporal lobe. You have literally no prefrontal cortex. I mean, you have nothing. The only thing that was there is the energy that kept that brain alive that is now out of it. So it's out in space. See what I'm saying? Wherever space is, it doesn't even have to be, in outer space. Space can be right here in this room. See what I'm saying? It just doesn't matter. Space is space. It's an area. And that's why space precedes all. Space is infinite. Space wasn't created during the Big Bang. I'm going to throw this out here. How do you make empty, infinite space? By adding matter. That's the exact opposite of what you do to make space. If I wanted to make space right here, I would have to remove the matter to make space. The Big Bang literally has us adding matter and making space. That's the exact opposite. But you know what? People don't understand. They don't see that. They don't notice it because they manipulate people and throw them off subject by saying, oh, it was really tiny, really, really tiny. Oh, they take people's perception off of that real quick so they don't think a little too deep into it and understand something. Then they switch it to this, which indicates more space has to exist. Because if it's really tiny relative to what? Well, there's infinite space right here. Boom. Well, of course it's going to be tiny. I mean, my God, there's infinity right here of space. So of course it's going to be tiny. So there's two indications right there. Not to mention the fact that it had to have an area or it couldn't exist. So space precedes all. The void of space literally produces a universe. And this is where the aspect of consciousness comes from. Everyone's familiar with the Y and X, okay, in our science. That's just one of the sciences that coincides with this theory. This theory is literally uniting every science and religion that we have. And I've been doing it for years now. All right, so you have your nuclear and electric. When they come together, that's procreation on a biological scale, or it's creation on a macro scale. The fact that you got the first laws of thermodynamics inside space, that's male energy, hence alpha male. Nuclear energy, you get that from your father. See what I'm saying? So you have your nuclear energy and your electric energy. You get mitochondria from your mother. That's literally electrical impulse. That's how your body transmits electrons and uses the signals through electricity in your body. Your bionuclear and bioelectric reactor is your brain. They're both fused. All right? So literally, when you have your alpha and omega, which is the father and the growing, you literally are fusing them together. And this is conception. A concept comes from the mind, which is also will. Hence, God's love, procreation, sex. God's will, the concept of mind and consciousness. So whatever empty, infinite space is, it literally conceived a universe using male and female energy. Literally. Like on a macro scale. This is the illusion of God. Okay? Yes and no. There's a God. Alright? Yes, God did create everything. No, it's not a floating man that's in the sky. It's the concept of energy and just living energy. So whenever this forms a singularity, this is going to grow into a supreme existence of space-time and matter. A supreme being. Okay? If you do this on a biological scale, procreation, you're going to get a human existence or human being. See what I'm saying? Same thing. This literally is where our concepts of science and all of our sciences really come from, and all of our religions. And technically, the hermaphroditic situation and all that, the beta decay, when a neutron decays into a proton and electron, that's beta decay, all right? That means it's hermaphroditic. That means that the nuclear energy, the male energy, literally carries the Y and X factor. It carries both, just like we see in nature. See what I'm saying? So, whenever I'm explaining how the universe actually formed, what came before the singularity, it mimics the bioscale, all right, on our cosm. But you have to understand that when you're dealing with sizes and times that are irrelevant, you can't put a size or time onto it unless you use a scale of relativity because of the scale invariance, which throws it all off. They're trying to apply the nutricosm, a time frame, and a size to something micro, and it throws everything off. Just like we try to apply that to the macro, and things come into billions and trillions of years and all that. So when you're doing it on a small scale, you're literally getting Planck times. Okay? That's a type of scale of relativity on the small micro scale. Okay? Is a Planck time. But they don't realize that. What they're doing is comparing or putting something relative to macrocosmic infinite space. Empty infinite space. Okay? When you relate anything to infinity, it's going to be at Planck time. Even if it lasts 10 trillion years. If you're way up here looking onto that, and it lasted 10 trillion years, technically, relative to all this and you, it only lasted for a split second. See what I'm saying? It's a little deep, but once you can understand this, this is technically a way of fifth-dimensional thinking, okay? Because once you can wrap your mind around... Okay, I'm gonna explain it. I'm going to explain a little bit of fifth-dimensional thinking. All right, I'm just going to give an example here, all right? Now, just bear with me here, okay? The singularity, okay, the singularity forms, all right? Now, the Higgs boson, this is the God particle, okay? The Higgs boson doesn't have a spin, all right? Now, they say, oh, we found the Higgs, and then there's people who say, no, technically we haven't. Well, they haven't. The Higgs boson has extraordinary mass to it, all right? The one they found is too light to be the Higgs boson. It's not the Higgs boson. They can't find the God particle because it's already happened. Okay, now, the Higgs boson. say it's spinning really fast. All right? Technically, relative to space, it's not spinning at all. Why? Because space wraps all the way around it. It's seeing all sides all the time, every second. Therefore, it's not spinning relative to space, even if it is spinning. Now, say you have a rope attached, okay, and you're looking straight at it, and you're spinning real fast. You're not going to see this thing spin because you're looking right at it, and you're spinning with it. See what I'm saying? So it's not going to be spinning relative to you. But if you disconnect this rope, put you here, now, since you are right here and not all around it, this spot right here is going to keep coming back around to you. You're going to see this spot, this dot right here. As it goes around, you're going to see it. As you're going to see it again. As it goes around, you're going to see it again. Okay? But technically, space is all the way around it all the time. So analogous to you being stuck to a rope tied to it, looking at it, that's how space is seeing it. From the same spot, every angle, all the time. So technically, it has no spin relative to space. See what I'm saying? It's a little deep, but if you can wrap your mind around this, a lot of this stuff will start making a lot more sense. It's called exercising the mind. You have to understand a little deeper. Once you start looking in a little deep, things start becoming more clear. And the scale invariance is what causes a lot of problems when it comes to our relativity. And that's why the theory of the large and the theory of the small are fundamentally different, and they don't coincide too well because they're not applying a scale of relativity. Once they apply the scale of relativity, the exact same thing happens in the micro scale that happens on the neutral scale. And the exact same things that happen on the neutral scale happen on the macro scale. See what I'm saying? It's all the exact same once you have a scale laid out. But they don't have a scale laid out. We know there's a scale. There's a micro scale, a neutral scale, and a macro scale, but we don't ever apply them. We don't even get into it. We don't even get deep into it or do anything on it. But if they would apply a scale to them, we would have the scale of relativity and we wouldn't have scale invariance like we do. So I'm just throwing this out here. And if anyone wants to know any more, ask me a particular question and I'll tell you the best way I can. Okay? But I just ask that people take it serious and not think I'm crazy or lunatic, because I've been doing this for a very, very long time. A very long time. Since I was 5 years old and went to Sunday school and learned about the Ark of the Covenant and the power of plasma, I haven't turned back when I was 5 years old. All right? And in the past 20 years, it's been non-stop. And then 3 years ago, I stumbled onto the key that literally changed everything. Because I knew that there was truth. I just knew. I kept putting things together, all the key factors, but I couldn't figure out how they all fit together. And 3 years ago, I found how they fit together. And once I did that, all of them started falling right into place. All the right places. So I'm just trying to throw this out here. Anybody interested, just ask, and I'll let you know everything you want to know.